Welcome to Under the Canopy. I'm your host, Daniel Weiss. I'm here today with Lindsey Hamer, Senior Account Executive for Cypress, to talk about her love of movies, dogs, and doing great work for her customers. Welcome, Lindsey.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see you as well. So, talk to me about your morning routine. Is it coffee? Is it yoga? Is it meditation? What gets you up in the morning, and how do you get centered and ready for the day?
Wow. Well, we have two young boys, 5 and 7. They're going in first grade, and they take after their father in the sense that they love to sleep. They're great sleepers and they are very difficult to wake up. So
Bonus
I
for
wake
you
up
then,
extra.
right?
Well, it is. It's great until you have to wake them up for schools. We start our wake up routine with them around 6:45. I already have the coffee preset the night before, so it's ready for me when I wake up. And I get them ready and off to school. And after I drop them off, I usually go to the gym and try to be home by 8:30, showered and ready to start the day.
How
So
did you get started in tech?
yeah, so I actually my one of my first corporate jobs out of college was a place called Global Knowledge, which was an IT training company. It
I remember
is
those guys.
yes, they were the world's largest IT and business training company. So I was on the call center there, but through that I was able to move into a field sales role where I met other resellers. And so that's how I started in the reseller space. And I've been in this particular part of the industry since 2010.
It is. It's a long time in IT years, as they say, right?
Yeah,
Kind
really,
of, kind of like dog years.
very much so.
Absolutely. Great. So I know that you work with a lot of people that we worked with in the past, in our past, over at Global Knowledge. I think in this business and just about every business, but especially in this business, relationships are everything. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Relationships are a huge part of it, if not the biggest part, definitely.
You just never know, like the people that you're going to come across today, and then you may come across them in the future and in another role, and you may be buying from them today, you may be selling to them tomorrow. You just never know.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, we've been connected directly and indirectly since 2013, right? Through various steps in our careers. So here we are again.
Absolutely. So I'm going to throw some questions your way. I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and everybody has their own way of showing who they are and what they do and what they've been, where they've been. You say in your LinkedIn profile that your value goes beyond deals and quotes, and really about helping customers thrive. Talk to me a little bit about that philosophy.
Yeah. So for me, it's about the entire process, right? So I always want to make sure that we have the right people in the conversation. We're focused on the root problem and not the product that's in front of us. And so for me, like the real win isn't always when the deal closes, which don't get me wrong, that's how we all pay our bills, right? But it's in the moment when a customer says to me, "Well, gosh, you guys are the first ones that were actually able to solve this problem," right? Or we've tried this so many times and now we're getting somewhere. In one case in particular, our engagement was able to actually bridge a divide between departments within an organization, not just fulfill the thing we were trying to do, which was a cloud readiness assessment, but we were able to get developers and infrastructure teams shaking hands. And that was, I don't remember anything else about that deal. Like, I don't remember how much money was in that deal, but I do remember those moments where it was like, man, this is actually kind of special. So, joined with the thing that I don't think I'm supposed to say, but is the thing that I really feel, which is part of thriving is actually enjoying being together, right? So, like, yeah, we're solving problems and having technical discussions, but isn't it great to laugh during a whiteboard session, or have a cold beer at a baseball game with a customer and his family to celebrate the close of a project? Like, that is to me, like, the fun is just as important as the partnership. It builds the trust. It makes hard conversations easier. So when I say that my value goes beyond quotes and deals, I think what I really mean is I'm trying to be in alignment with a person, an organization, and build a relationship on genuine respect and enjoy the time we spend together. Does that make sense?
It does. Love that. I love that. And it's funny that there's so many people in this business who look at relationships as transactions. And it's
Mm.
refreshing to hear people that are actually thriving on creating the relationships, not just saying, hey, it's got something I have to do, as opposed to something that I love to do, I want to do, and I want to do more of it. So that's beautiful. In fact, I love to hear that.
The job is supposed to fund those things, but at the same time, like, isn't it great if we actually are having a good time too? Like, I love my job. I love working for Cypress, and And that's that. And I love the customers that I work with too. And I want them to have the same kind of fun that I'm having.
That's great. That's great. So you've been at this 16 years and change. If you were coaching a first year seller entering this technology business, what would you tell them? What would you tell them to start doing? What would you tell them to stop doing?
So I don't know if you remembered this, Dan, but many, many years ago when I interviewed at Vero, my final interview was a panel interview. And you in particular asked me what my sales style was, which is a very common question. And I should have been prepared for it. But I just kind of blurted out maternal. And I wasn't
Maternal.
even a mother then. Maternal. I did. And you specifically said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And I'm not sure what I said, but in this moment I remember feeling like I just want to take care of everybody. But so to answer your question, if I was giving someone advice about how to be successful in a role like this, it really comes down to very simple things to me. One, active listening, right? You don't like I just got off a demo where the OEM just jumped right into the pitch and the demo. And I said, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt, but can we talk a little bit more about, the roles of these people? I'm just curious, right? So one, active listening, two, be curious. I think curious comes before active listening. Ask questions, be curious, genuinely want to know what is at stake here, right? And not just because you're trying to get to a close, but because you want to draw on what is important to these people, right? So active listening, be curious, and be reliable. Another sales leader from a company that you know very well told me once, if you only do what you say you're going to do, you're already way ahead of your competition. So
So
those are the
true.
three things
That
for me that matter.
that's fantastic. That is so true. I remember, us interviewing sales reps over and over and over again throughout the course of my career. And, naturally, I'm more of an operational person. So I want to make sure, A, do they have the skills necessary to do the job? B, are they fired up? Are they passionate about it? Are they going to get out there and make things happen? But what sometimes I guess I forget, and I should remind myself not to forget, is that you got to care. You got to be empathetic. You got to be interested. So I think we can't. I think those are skills in sales that I think to be truly long term successful, especially in this business, you gotta have those skills. You got to be interested in people and where they come from and what their concerns are and their challenges are. So I love that. So you're a dog person. I'm a dog person. Do you have a voice for your dog? What does it sound like? And would you be willing to show us an example of your dog's voice?
Oh my gosh, I do. I don't know that I could emulate it. It's because I worry it would make him sound dumb, and he's not dumb. I don't know that I could emulate it, but it's very much a, "Oh, okay," like, "All right, here we go."
I love that. I agree. I have a Shih Tzu, and I have a little dog voice. It kind of sounds like an Italian's voice because his name is Gnocchi. So he's got kind of a little like an Italian accent, like a New York Italian though.
Show us. Just give it a shot.
I'm not going to ruin the podcast by doing that. All right. So
Okay.
we're gonna switch gears here. All right. As a movie nerd, you're a movie nerd. I'm a movie nerd. I love watching old movies. I was killing some time on Sunday and I watched Fargo for, I don't know, the 15th time. That's such a great movie. Even though it's really, really old as compared to so many other movies that have come out in that dark comedy genre since then. But what's a movie that you can just like quote off the top of your head, and then maybe talk to me about a movie that you just would just turn off.
Gosh, man, I love so many movies. I'm going to start with the second question. I feel like that's going to be a little bit easier only because I rarely turn off a movie. That's just not I usually just kind of stick through. However, I do find a lot of sequels, especially like the more farther down the sequel path you get, like what even is Home Alone 3? Like I find them to be very forgettable and unnecessary, right? Or like why do we have Die Hard 4 and 5? Like should have stopped at 2. Even honestly, I feel like aside from the Toy Story sequels and Finding Dory and Godfather 2, I just really struggle to find a sequel that isn't just throwaway. My God, I have so many favorite movies and I categorize movies in different ways. Like there's like really fun movies, really great movies. There's perfect movies in terms of execution. One of my Gosh, a movie that I just always will go back to is I really love Django Unchained, Tarantino. It's my favorite Tarantino movie. I've rewatched The Hangover recently. Hangover 1, 2, and 3, speaking of terrible sequels. But I just Hangover 1 is a perfect movie to me in terms of, pacing and needle drops, great music, chemistry, acting. But there's so many I could talk about movies the entire time as long as you will let me. So, movies and dogs I can talk about for a long time. So, did that answer your question? Because I can keep going.
I love that. Yeah, I agree. I think I could have a whole podcast just on talking about movie lines and all of those kinds of things. Well, I wanted to
Yeah, let's do
welcome
that on
you,
the
or
next one.
yeah, well, I want to welcome you back to a future podcast, and I want you to come back on and talk a little bit more about your experience in this business. You have an amazing set of skills in this business. You're empathetic. You know your solutions, you know your products, you know your customers, and you certainly know your deal. So I want to thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Dan. It's great to be here. I'll come back anytime you want.